I am exhausted, like, oof. So, anyways, I just, finished watching the latest episode of Gamers, and I gotta say, it's a great way to wind down after a very, very busy day. And, oh man, I was really shocked with how this finale was done. But anyways, let me give some quick clarifications. Okay, so this is the final episode of Gamers. This is the finale. So, there is no announcement for a Season 2. So, we don't know if a Season 2 will ever be possible. I don't really know how popular this series is, so I don't know if it will ever get one. I have no idea, but this is the finale of Gamers. So, if you like the series and you wanted more, we're probably not going to get a Season 2. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how popular the series was, but this could be the final episode that we'll ever see in anime form or whatever, or Gamers in anime form. So, anyways, getting right into it, this was probably by far the most different episode of the series that we have seen. And it's kind of funny, really. When I was talking about Gamers when I first started this series, the title is kind of misleading. It's really misleading, because when you see a title called Gamers, you would think it would focus more on gaming and kind of like gaming culture and stuff, but that actually was not the case when it came to the series. What Gamers was really about was a bunch of, a group of people not being able to communicate properly. They were socially awkward, and they got into a lot of, misunderstandings with each other, and it literally became misunderstanding the anime. And that's kind of what fueled the series throughout the start to where we're at now until this episode, and that's what was most shocking about it, because the title is very misleading. And with this final episode, it was probably by far the most different, but it's still true to what the title actually represented, which is very funny. This episode was clearly self-aware. Now, I don't know if this was anime original. I don't know if this was a part of the light novel or whatever, or it was a spin-off chapter. I have no idea. I have no idea if this was original or not, but regardless if it was or wasn't, this episode was very self-aware of what it was and what it was trying to do. I mean, to the point of, it knew it was an epilogue, it knew it was different, it was not like the other parts of the series, and it also was heavily a big debate on just gaming culture in general. It was just a very unique episode of this series, and by far probably one of the most fascinating. I mean, I love Gamers. It's been a very wacky and fun series. It's had its little quirks about it, it's had its problems, but it's been a very enjoyable series. I've loved it. I have really loved it. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have remained with it to this very point, the final episode. I mean, that's a given by now. I think many now know by now, if I don't like something, I'll probably just drop it like that no matter what. And I've enjoyed Gamers considerably. And so, with the final episode, it brought up a very heated debate that happens a lot in gaming communities, which completely shocked me. Paid DLC. This is something that the episode was really just trying to tackle, how DLC is handled in gaming culture. It's one of the biggest debates, I think, or topics in gaming that you see quite often. There's a lot of times when there's a game coming out, like a new game, any type of game. It could be a AAA title, or it can be like an indie game or whatever. Usually, it's a topic of debate for these games when they have already DLC planned in the works to come out, or there's going to be DLC there, but you have to buy an extra edition or bundle to be able to get this DLC. It's been like a hot topic for a long time now, and basically you can see this in some aspects, like recent games like Destiny, for instance. They already have DLC planned out and all that, and there's many other games and stuff that have the DLC on disc, but you can't even access it unless you pay a little bit extra. And this has, spanned so many debates throughout many years now on how DLC is handled, and how when you buy like a $60 game, you're not really buying it. You're buying maybe, only $40 worth of content on a $60 disc, and it's kind of messed up. And this, like I said, it's been a heated discussion. I found this episode very fascinating because of that, because when you go out to buy, a game, okay, regardless if it's online or if you buy it like at the store or whatever, when you buy the original copy, like the main copy or whatever, besides like the bundle, like the gold or deluxe edition, usually when you buy stuff like that, when you buy $60, you expected in the past you would get the full game. You'd get the campaign, you get the multiplayer, you would get, the little added additions like theater mode or whatever, or editor mode. You would expect to get all of these little things if you were to buy the main game. However, with today's society and how DLC has been handled, you would buy like a $60 game, but in reality, you might only have the campaign and some aspects of multiplayer, but you won't have the full experience. Like, there could be game modes that are locked behind paid DLC, or you can have it to where, like, an entire big function of the game is locked behind paid DLC, and you're like, why? Why I spend so much money on this game, but I don't even have the full game? Or what really makes people angry is this big topic, is that when they go in to look at the files on the disc and all that, they find out that the paid DLC that you gotta spend like an extra $20 or so for is actually already on the disc, or DLC that's being made way off in the future. It was already on the disc, and just the DLC, and when it finally is released, is just for an unlock. They just switch it on where you can access it, and you gotta pay extra to access it, even though it was on disc. And because they're wasting space on the disc, it's like the people that bought the main game don't have as much content as they once did. They have to pay extra to get it. So like I said, just this has been a big topic for a very long time, and it was a very fascinating episode about it. And you can see that even though this series is mainly about misunderstandings and poor communication between characters and stuff, clearly, the writer and all that knew what they were doing and knew what gaming was like and how it is, and this series was very self-aware of that. But let's get into, like, the epilogue situation of it. So, around the fan service scene of the episode, that's when the series got really self-aware, and it knew what it was doing. It knew what it was doing when it came to the fan service. It was talking about how there's an epilogue. When an epilogue happens in a game, okay, let's give a good example. Let's say there's a good RPG you're playing, and the main conflict of the game is settled with, you know, the RPG. Like, you beat the Demon King, okay? Let's say you're playing a typical RPG where you gotta defeat a Demon King, okay? You go for the game, you defeat the Demon King, you settle all the plot points and all that, everything is fine, all the conflict is settled, game over. It's over. You're done. But then a DLC comes out, and with this little DLC, this little segment on, it adds a new conflict to it, to where you have a little bit extra. You have a little bit extra to the story, and it adds in this new conflict that came out of nowhere just for the fans can enjoy something a little bit more if they still love the series. And that's kind of what this episode was trying to do. It was showcasing that they weren't trying to extend gamers with a new conflict, like a conflict point, like making more misunderstandings. They wanted to add something completely different. They wanted to make something that wasn't like the other part of the series, a completely different tone. And that's kind of what this was. This is like DLC. This was free DLC. And it's funny because throughout the entirety of the episode, they were talking about paid content, you know, paid DLC and stuff, but in this episode, and the way it was going, is functioning as, like, free DLC that's entirely different from the main game, or the main series, because when you look at the essence of what this episode was about, it was kind of like something that was just the exact opposite of what we've come to expect from gamers. I mean, like I said, it focused on gaming, it focused on gaming culture, it focused on aspects of fan service as well, which we don't really see. I mean, we've seen it in end cards and stuff, but it hasn't really focused on that much, and you just see so many little details throughout the episode that's just so different, which, like I said, is so enjoyable. It was a really good episode for that. So, for a finale, I think this was probably the best choice, the way to end the series. If it's never going to get a season 2, if it's never going to get any other continuation, I think this is one of the best ways to end it, because if they would have done another episode, they would have had to either do a self-contained story in one episode that would have had the conflict introduced at the start and been ended at the end of the episode, which could have felt very rushed and forced, or they had to do something that would start new conflict and not even get settled, and everybody be very unsatisfied because we may never get a season 2. So this is probably the best option available to the writers that was working on the anime, so I feel like they did a very good job. Now, that's basically it. That's my thoughts on the finale. Was it a good series? Yes, it was a good series. Is it the best? No, it's not the best series, but I do say that it's definitely worth a watch. It's one of the better series of Summer of Anime 2017, and I have truly enjoyed watching it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much, and you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. And before I end this, if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to continue to support me for I can focus on YouTube, please, you know, go into the description and donate to my Patreon. It helps me out a lot. It really does. And so with that being said, I think I want to go take me a nap once I upload this. I'm getting really tired. So, love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.